Phil Inscoe at Buddy Holland's home in Salemburg, North Carolina, January the 28th, 2012.
I'm Phil Inscoe, Philip G. Inscoe to be exact, native of Franklin County, North Carolina, born in Rocky Mount, North Carolina in 1927, almost at the end of the year. I had never heard of Salemburg until I went to Wake Forest College as a student, and I roomed with Billy Royal from Salemburg, also his brother Lee, and they told me about Salemburg. And when I graduated from Wake Forest at the end of the fall semester of 1947-48, Billy suggested that I come to Salemburg to interview for a possible job at Edwards Military Institute and Pineland College. So I did. I came down, I had an appointment with Mr. Blanchard, and he showed me around the place. And in fact, he took me over to the bursar's office where Mrs. Blanchard was in charge, and he introduced me to her, and she in turn introduced me to the ladies who were assisting her in the office, one of whom was Ann Stark, Mary Ann Stark. She was behind a petition in the office, and she said, "Oh, let me introduce you to one of our single girls." So she said, "This is Miss Stark." Well, she popped her red head out from behind that petition. And I said, "Ooh, well, I'll just have to see what I can do about that." And sure enough, about a year and a half later, I did. And we had quite a time here. We were married in Salemburg, as a matter of fact, and had the reception in the little hut there on campus. Soon after, we were married in April of '49, and in June of '49, I went into the Navy to go into pre-flight training down in Pensacola, Florida. So we moved down to Florida. Unfortunately, during that period of time, I could not get over air sickness, so I resigned my commission and came back to Salemburg and was commandant of junior barracks for 4 more years at that point. I left in 1955 and went into industry. That was my stay here at the academy. During the time I was here, I taught science, particularly 9th grade science and 10th grade biology, in addition to being commandant of the junior division of the school. Ann's mother was Emily Stark, who was a house mother, music teacher, combination at Pineland College. I don't think she was particularly happy with me dating her daughter at first, but I think she got used to me after a while. While I was commandant of the junior division of the school, I had the great privilege of being substitute dad to many young men, a lot of whom I see or hear from even today. And this is 2012 already. So it's a great pleasure for me to be able to have contact with them after all of these years. During my first semester here, my job was the lab assistant for Mr. Downs in college chemistry, in addition to teaching the general science and the biology classes. After that semester, Mr. Blanchard asked me if I would consider being the commandant of the junior division of the school starting in the fall, and I agreed to do that. That spring, Miss Ann Stark and I began to date in the parlor. I had no car, so we had to date in the parlor here on campus. And we were married, as I said earlier, we were married here in Salemburg Baptist Church. And Mr. Ashley, the Reverend Mr. Ashley, was the one who officiated the service. And Ann and I lived in an apartment on the bottom floor of the junior barracks building. In fact, we were living there when our first 2 children were born. Emily was born at Duke, but came back when she was 5 weeks old. She was premature. She came back with us to Salemburg when she was 5 weeks old. Our son Phil was born here. And I can remember that when the first few months of his life, he never shut up at night. He screamed all night long. And I can hear the cadets right now saying, who lived above, "Won't that guy ever shut up?" And but when he turned 3 months old, He stopped crying, so we figured out he had that 3-month colic, and almost to the day he stopped crying, and after that it was no problem for the kids in the dormitory. During my stay here with Ann, of course, we became very, very active in the community as well as in the church, as well as on campus. We participated in the choir at the Baptist church, and in fact the choir sang for our wedding. So we felt a very important part of the town. Many of the town's people we became great friends with and have been through the years.